The lab industry is a difficult one to hire in currently, and one of the things that you can do to not need a lot of new hires is to retain those good employees that you already have. The Great Resignation, the Big Quit, whatever you want to call it, kind of has been the spark that started this whole new thought process of staff, employees in general, not specific to the lab industry necessarily, but in terms of analyzing what their jobs do for them. They are now, we're learning, wanting to contribute to a greater cause. They want to be part of a community. It's not just about the compensation. That's an important aspect, but you really, as an employer, you really have to build up your employees in other ways, not just monetarily, in order to try to retain them in the current market. So a lot of people, as we all know, compensation is an issue, need to be fairly compensated. And a lot of employers are already addressing that and offering higher compensation, raises to individuals that meet goals, et cetera, et cetera. However, the other things that we're seeing in terms of anecdotally people reporting to us why they're leaving jobs, and from the Pew Research study that we looked at, is due to lack of advancement opportunities. So in addition to compensation, employers really need to be creating career paths for individuals and outlining the trajectory that is possible in their organization so that the employees know that there is a path for them in the future and they're not in a quote-unquote dead-end job. Additionally, there are a lot of people, more than half, that left their jobs last year. I think it was 57% reported feeling disrespected in the workplace. That could be, as little as not getting along with all of their colleagues or not having a great work environment or culture in your company, but it also could be indicative of a toxic work environment. You hear that word thrown around a lot, toxic. But it's employers not pouring into their employees, not offering them something in addition to the compensation that they're paid. Again, employees really want to be part of a greater contribution. They want to make an impact, and they want to be part of a community that is accomplishing something. So anything that you can do as an employer to show your employee what their opportunity is and support them in achieving that is also going to create greater retention for your organization, for sure. A lot of people are looking for more flexibility in their jobs with the digital age being upon us. A lot of things can be accomplished and you don't have to be physically present. For a lot of lab positions, that's not the case. You have to be physically present on site at the lab. And obviously there are certain regulatory and rules, laws that you must follow in terms of what your position is and what's required in terms of on-site activities. But anywhere that employers can offer the ability to work remotely or flexibly in terms of work hours, it just rewards them tenfold in terms of their employee satisfaction. For a long time, with the shifts that people in the lab work, employers have been really good at compensating the different shifts differently. Most people know that if you're willing to work your night shift, you're going to get paid more per hour than the day shift, for example, because of the pros and cons of that shift. But again, providing flexibility in terms of hours and work environment can really be a benefit that the employee sees as something not offered everywhere and can be a reason that you're able to retain your employees. It's a really important question to be asking, both in terms of your return on investment for your lab and also just in terms of wanting to keep the good people to keep your project going. So being focused on retaining employees is really important, especially because what we're seeing in terms of our research is that there's an aging population of lab staff out there. And that could have some long-term effects on the lab industry. We're already seeing a market where it is difficult to hire people with the correct qualifications. Those people have multiple offers at a time. There's essentially more demand than there are supply of qualified individuals. And as those lab staff members continue to age and ultimately retire or move out of the lab industry, we're not creating replacements in terms of graduating qualified individuals, as many as we're losing. So long term, being able to retain those highly qualified people that continue to show up for your organization is just going to continue to serve you in terms of meeting your long-term goals, because you're not going to be experiencing turnover and difficulty replacing those individuals. For example, we're really seeing this in the pathology industry right now because we have a large number of pathologists that are nearing retirement. And as those individuals retire, we haven't been graduating the same number of qualified residents from programs. And actually the number of programs and the number of graduates in those programs has continued to shrink over the last several years. Additionally, many lab staff, not just pathologists, are choosing to become more and more specialized. So what that means is that after their graduation, when normally they would have entered the workforce, they are seeking additional education, additional training, additional expertise in a certain area. And that's allowing us to graduate much more specialized individuals for advancements in technology and science, but it's also delaying their entry into the workforce. And as the aging population of lab staff and pathologists is retiring, that just compounds that issue of being able to replace them, which just means that if you're not paying attention to retaining those individuals that are bringing great value to your organization, you could find yourself in a really tough place in the future. So it just goes to show you how important retaining those really great employees are for your long-term business goals.